All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I'm Justin, joined by Jack, and we've got another member of the Blue by 90 family here with us today, Zach Linfield. Give us your intro. How would you like present yourself if you're going to shake somebody's hand?
Where do I start at this point? The head of student radio for the football team, and I'm
All right.
also a manager for the football team. So I work on the field with the team throughout the week, which makes it kind of hard once in a while to do stuff like this and try and toe that line between what I'm able to say and what I'm not able to say. But I believe I do a decent job the most part of the time. But mainly what I do is I'm the play-by-play student broadcaster for Michigan football. So thankful to Justin and Jack. They both help me out by boosting my videos that I post out every week of some of the calls that I put together from Saturday that I stitched together Sunday and I post to my Twitter. So that's kind of the short introduction. I'm from Heartland, Michigan. I'm a senior studying sport management right now at the school. So kind of looking forward to that graduating year, but I don't want to stop calling Michigan football. So not looking forward to that coming to an end.
Well, what's nice of you is that you agreed before you came on that you would give us every inside scoop from inside Schembechler. So
Oh
if you
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
just start there, you can just, we can take it from there.
Ro,
Hey,
I'm a little
thankfully,
disappointed. I feel like you had a big missed opportunity there to be like, I'm Justin here with Jack and Zach.
Oh,
Could have played that out. Could have had
I
that
know,
happen.
but people wouldn't have known who Zach is right away.
Well,
I
and
mean,
then
we
you
could have
introduced
went
him
into
after
it.
that.
Yeah,
Do you think
true.
people are just be like Jack and Zach, and they hear Zach and like, oh, what the fuck is this? And just turn it off.
I
don't know who
assume
that
they
guy
get.
is. I'm out of here.
Well,
I'm out of here.
I kind of assume that they hear Justin and Jack, and then they turn it off.
I mean, I would if I was a listener.
Yeah. So, no, but we appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I mean, we actually, I was traveling this weekend at Clemson. We had a lot going on, so we didn't even do a recap. Jack
I
was
got
in
my Bills,
part
my
of
Bills
Bill's
Mafia gear
Mafia.
on.
Yeah, love that. So we didn't do a Indiana recap. So why don't we jump into that? I mean, I think it was like overall kind of a weird game, right? Like I felt like the team didn't feel in sync at all in the first half. Obviously, from what I like know, the team was like actually really shaken up from
Mike Hart.
the Mike Hart situation. So
right.
it explains it. But then, they turned it on in the second half, all that stuff. But I don't know. Did you guys feel like, obviously the Hart situation was a big part of it, but even before that, like they didn't feel like they were quite in sync right away.
I mean, Zach,
Yeah.
you were at the game, right? Like, what was the feeling like in the stadium when Hart went down? Because I mean, even the Indiana fans, they know him. I mean, he was their running backs coach or whatever
Yeah,
when
he
he
was
was
the
there.
running backs coach for 3.5 years, which is a little bit odd. I mean, you saw all the coaches from Indiana go over, and I had my binoculars out for probably a solid 2 minutes. I couldn't find out who it was until I saw Blake and Donovan. They were hugging each other, and I was like, "Oh Lord, it's got to be Coach Hart." And then I looked at the monitor, and we were watching Fox Sports at the same time as the call, so that we could see the replays and such. And just seeing the emotion on the faces of Dono and of Blake, and these are guys like I mentioned as a manager that I work with every day. Dono
Mhm.
more than Blake because once in a while we get to toss the ball around. But knowing how energetic and happy and spontaneous that Donovan Edwards is, and seeing him shed a tear on the sidelines, like that irked me a little bit. And I'm standing on the top of Memorial Stadium outside, and I can't see it from my view, but I saw it on the monitor. I'm like, Lord, man, like that's terrible. And then I saw all
Yeah.
the Indiana coaches run over. I'm like, it's Mike Hart. Um, but when it comes to the first half in general, I was just talking with my dad about this actually. It's a little bit weird to explain once in a while when it comes to like the tempo of an offense. And Indiana, I think, shook Michigan in the sense that we weren't ready for their tempo right away, and that's something that we did practice throughout the week is going quickly and trying to get the defense to kind of jumble up a little bit, get that different look that Michigan hadn't really seen this year because no other team had really gone tempo. Maryland did, but it was at a little bit slower of a pace than what Indiana did because it was complete the pass, go to the ground, the receiver or the running back puts the ball on the ground, referee spots it, they're into their next play. Like, it was scripted for them. But I said at halftime that Indiana just provided blueprint for teams like Penn State, for teams like Michigan State, Ohio State, to potentially hurt Michigan with that tempo as well. But Jesse Minter's halftime adjustments in the locker room, and of course I wasn't down there, but whatever he did, whatever he said to change it up and get that defense to be coordinated in the second half, that was masterful. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a team get beat so badly in the first half with tempo and then turn around and absolutely shut it down. I've never seen that happen before. And that was special stuff from that defense too, because obviously the pass rush started to step up big time in the second half. And I think the two little injuries to Indiana's tackles certainly helped that out. I think that kind of went as an underlying thing in Saturday's game is Parker Hanna, their left tackle, got hurt. And then the backup, Sales Jr., it seemed like he was roughed up a little bit too when he came in to replace Hanna after a false start. But that halftime adjustment was something I've never seen, and that was special stuff from that defense.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. It felt like, and I think the tackles were a big piece of this, but it felt like they finally just said, all right, we're throwing as much pressure as we can at this offense. And then once they got a taste of it, it was like they were just going to keep going, which I loved. But, I think on the offensive side of the ball too, they found their rhythm. It felt like, it took a long time for them to finally find their rhythm. We couldn't establish the run game. It felt like we were running into a brick wall. And, we felt that before as Michigan fans, I think, where you're just like, all right, how many more like off tackle runs can we run just right up the gut, or whatever. And it's not going to work. But, ultimately Blake Corum was Blake Corum. And I mean, the run, we tweeted out the screenshot of it. Like, I mean, that screenshot is absurd. There's like 5 guys around him, and he's essentially on one knee. And somehow, he definitely scored. They didn't rule him as a touchdown, but he 100% scored. Also, shout out Blake. He literally stole that like 10 minutes later and posted it on his own Instagram, which is fine, and he can do whatever he wants. But yeah, I was pretty proud too of JJ McCarthy. After he threw that pick, he did not miss a beat. And I think that was honestly a question I had for JJ was like, what happens when you're on the road? Even though, Indiana is not this like top 10 team, but you're on the road, you make a mistake, you're in a tight ball game. How do you respond? And he couldn't have responded better. I'm pretty sure the stat was like he
didn't throw an incompletion.
Yeah, went perfect after that, threw a couple touchdowns. So like he is, I just think JJ McCarthy right now like he's got it going all the way around. I don't see like some big gaping weak spot where people are like, yeah, he's amazing, but like I don't know what the but is currently.
Yeah, I agree too, because there were 2 plays in that game that I think really turned the tide, maybe even 3. And the first one that I'm thinking of is 3rd down and 8 from their own goal line, and JJ's in his own end zone, and he threw that pass across the middle to Ronnie. And that's the speed and space concept that we were hoping to see for years on years. But Ronnie does what Ronnie does after the catch, and that's go north and south. He doesn't mess around going horizontally a lot. And he protected the ball, got the first down. Another one was even the 2 window shots to Andrell Anthony. Everyone's been asking where Drell's been all year, and he's there. He's very much there.
Yeah.
And with no Roman last weekend, it provided another opportunity for Andrell to show what he can really do. And he's one of the guys I'm closer with inside Shem, and he's looking for that opportunity, and he got it, and he made the most of it. And so I was really proud of him for that. But the number one thing from JJ was I believe it was a 3rd down. I'd have to go back at the tape and look. But the scramble. We haven't really seen him scramble. And then also, like I mentioned with Ronnie, go north and south. He's been scrambling around, but he's been staying primarily behind the line of scrimmage and looking for an open receiver, which is a good thing in a sense. Yeah. But we throw it back to that Maryland game when he got sacked from behind. I still don't know how he didn't fumble the football. That's pretty veteran stuff from JJ. But his ability to tuck it. He saw one guy said, "I'm faster than you, and I'm going to beat you to that spot." And that was big time from a sophomore to recognize there is no pressure from behind, which he hadn't necessarily done in previous weeks, and then run to go get the first down and do it safely too. He didn't stay in bounds. He made sure he got out of bounds after picking up, I think, 3 or 4 more. And that was, I think, the biggest play of the game for JJ that I saw from him.
So I'm curious, like you said, you're a field manager, dude. You're that turf is immaculate, right? You're watching JJ every practice. If you could guess his 40 time, I mean, we saw in the Big Ten championship game when he ran ahead of Blake to fucking block a guy, and he's scrambling all over the place. What if you could guess his 40 time? What would you say it is? I mean, got to be sub 4.5, right?
You see, I'm not good at that stuff, but I'd have to say it's got to be a 4.4, hovering right around that mark, and it might be even faster. I mean,
I feel like he's one of those guys too that's like faster on the field than he is in just a straight 40.
Yeah,
right.
And
like
he's shifty. He's
got game speed. Like it's just like he turns it on.
I don't look like a fast guy, but you put me on the field, I'm moving, baby. Moving and grooving.
You definitely are.
I might be the fastest guy alive. Wouldn't be able to tell, but
you and Usain Bolt.
I think I'm quicker than Usain Bolt.
But
like top end speed, he definitely
the lateral movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I'll say this too.
I'm a side to side guy.
I mean, Usain Bolt has never beat you in a race.
That's a fact.
That is an
absolute fact.
Yeah, nobody can dispute that. And you know what? If Usain Bolt is out there listening, you know what? Bring it on. Bring it on.
Don't be.
Can we tag him when we post this?
Yeah. If he's too scared, then he won't do it. But if he's not scared, then he'll come do it.
Yeah.
So
I'll also throw up some speed highlights or something. You got to get me on the field, just show like real quick shots.
Which speaking of speed, I mean, let's give it a rating of my speed going down the hill at Clemson.
You had the loudest feet I've ever heard in my entire life. I don't know how the sound on that camera picked up those fucking elephant stomps you had coming down the hill, but it sounded like they were in my head.
It was not soft feet coming down.
Hey, how did that come around? Was that the wife just said, "Hey, let me videotape you running down the hill," or how'd that go?
No, we told him on the podcast. We're like, you got to run down the hill.
Yeah,
because he was like, I've got to do my dabo thing. I was like, you have to. You got to get on camera.
Here's the thing. I did it once, and it didn't look good. So I did it.
Oh, so that was a fraud video. You're a fraud.
Yeah, I'm. Why is that a fraud?
You have to show the original video.
It's probably
so you had it. You still have it.
I'll check the tape.
You're a fraud.
I had to
admit to that. Nobody would know other than you and Jacqueline.
Well, I'm an honest man. I have integrity.
Okay, fair enough.
I had to. It didn't look very athletic the first time, so I had to.
It didn't look very athletic the second time.
Well, it looked worse the first time. I'll tell you that. And
was there like a second in that time that you were running down the hill like I could face plant?
Oh yeah, that was like, well, so the first time, the reason that it looked more unathletic was because I was going slower because I was like scared that I was going to face plant. So the second time I was like, all right, I got to commit. And once you commit, there's no stopping. and then you hit that ridge. There's like a ridge that like most guys, like I think jump up or something like that on the ridge.
Yeah, they jump over it.
Yeah, I didn't jump over it. And it's like, that thing comes up quick, and it's a little scary.
We gotta put those videos side by side of like Dabo running down and you running down.
I think I should have done that.
I have a video of me doing it too. I'll have to find it.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to go to Clemson and I got denied there, man.
Oh shit!
Denied at Clemson, but you got into Michigan. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, I didn't get into Michigan either.
Well, you're there now.
I had to transfer in.
Hey, there you go. There you go. Matters. Listen, hey, whatever path you want to take, it's all good.
Hey, at least you went to Michigan.
Yeah.
We also went to college in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, I played football.
You played football in Ann Arbor in college.
Yeah. Also an undisputable fact.
That is a fact.
Yep. All right. Yeah. So I mean, I would say It's like a probably Jack, me, Usain Bolt type situation.
I think
And
that's
then
fair.
JJ, probably.
That's fair.
Right.
JJ
Now,
probably
is that
close behind you,
is
Sam.
that 40? Is that 40 time, or is that going down the hill?
Ooh, I know Usain can't beat me down a hill because I'm a big dude, right? I start rolling.
the
I'm going fast.
momentum.
I'm rolling. He can't beat me. Gravity,
true.
baby, helps
That's
me
true.
out.
I guess
adjusted.
my bigger question for you watching JJ every day is like, I mean, this is really everybody. Obviously, JJ is like the number one, guy that people want to see, but like that offense has got to be pretty fun to watch when they're going at it in practice.
Yeah, and I always get nervous because the turf nowadays, and the turf there is very, very nice. I know Jack pegged fun of me earlier about it, but
You're the guy.
I'm always nervous about injuries, and those guys fly around so fast, even at practice against this practice squad, that I'm like, yeah, you never know. But that's kind of an outside chance that something like that'll happen. Knock on wood. But like they're just so fast and fun to watch. And I mean, all I'm doing right now is holding chains because I don't have a game day role, and I go up to the broadcast booth and I call games. So I'm like, you know what? I still want to be a part of the team as a manager. I'll just hold chains and watch the offense develop. And it is one of the coolest things because I work for the tight ends, and I'm like, okay, I know their assignment. I know what route they're running if they're going out on a pass. I know who they're going down to block. But the creativity of Sharon Moore, Matt Weiss, and Coach Harbaugh is so much fun to watch. And I'm learning so much. If I wanted a career in coaching, which a lot of fellow managers do, it's the top opportunity they could possibly have. But Justin, as you said, watching JJ in game and watching him in practice is like the same thing. Kid doesn't miss a beat. I mean, we'd like to see him connect on more deep passes, and he's working on it. I mean, he knows he needs to be better connecting on those deep throws. We saw the couple, I believe, to Roman in the one of the Iowa game, and there was one in the Maryland game that he should have connected on, and he didn't. But JJ, what you guys have seen in conferences and interviews is that he's a very happy-go-lucky kid. But he's confident and he's really motivated, which is something really good to see out of a really young quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, knowing him, I think like missing those throws just eats at him. He's like, that's all he can think about then.
And he wants to make up for it fast. And that's just not being a fully experienced quarterback. But I mean, I'm confident that throughout this season and at the rapid pace that he's learning, that it's a really good thing for him.
I'm curious, Zach. You said, I mean, obviously we know you're at practice. You said you work, you're with the tight ends a lot. Are you ever up in the booth, like calling the games, and you have like a Tony Romo type, what apparition is that? What was it called, or vision or whatever? And you're like, oh, I've seen this set up before. I'm thinking they're gonna go read option here, and then you just call it 100%, or just absolutely fail, and you're like, they could fucking throw like a Hail Mary.
Yeah, no, I fully do that, and it makes me sound like a genius too. So if I wanted to provide like a demo tape for myself or something, and I'm like, you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if I see JJ keep this one here with the up back to the left. I have no clue. I don't know the actual play calls. I just hold the chains. But
just hope for the best.
I see the formations once in a while, and I'm like, oh, you know what, this is where that play could go, because there's obviously multiple variations on every play. But yes, fully I do, especially last year when we ran the flea flicker one time. I was like, you know what? I think Michigan might get really creative here on 2nd and 8, and they might do something special. And here's the flea flicker, the touchdown to Cornelius Johnson in the Wisconsin game. So
I hope that's on your highlight reel.
I do have it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I just looked up apparition. It is a ghost or ghost-like image of a person. So that was the very incorrect word.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Where do you go to school again?
Yeah. Ann Arbor.
In Ann Arbor. I went to school in Ann Arbor.
Pioneer High School.
We're talking about college. I went to college in Ann Arbor.
I know.
But also school. That's how educated I am. Smartest guy on the podcast, no question.
So educated. All right. Well, let's talk about this week because this is, I mean, probably the biggest game up until Michigan goes to Columbus. Obviously, like we're not. I personally, for my personal life, Michigan State is a bigger game because Michigan needs to win that game by a literal 100 points. But obviously, top 10 team coming into Ann Arbor. This is by far the best home game that we'll have. I'm excited for the Maize out. I think right now it's we need to start getting in the mental state for Saturday. That's where I'm at right now. Maize out, got to get there early. Get maybe a couple extra drinks in. Get riled up.
I was thinking, did we shut down the tailgate early just to incentivize people to get to the game early?
I actually think we do. I think we do.
We should.
I will be going in early because I have literally like 50-yard line seats. So that's my plan.
Oh, big time.
All right.
I know. I bought them.
Yeah.
I literally bought
them. You bought them?
Yeah.
God damn. You couldn't get a hookup between Blue by 90 or Valiant?
I know. Tough out here. Tough out here. They shut me down. But so that's my first thought is us fans, we got to do our part.
Right.
What do you guys think about this game? How are we confident? Not confident? This Penn State team is pretty damn good.
Bro, yeah. I'll tell you what, and you've heard me, on the podcast this whole season, and when I've been like, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. This game, I'm fucking nervous for.
All right.
I'm nervous. I'm glad it's in the big house. I'm glad it's at noon. I'm glad it's a Maize out. Like Michigan's got kind of everything on their side right now, but I haven't seen a ton of Penn State, but I've always appreciated Sean Clifford's athleticism, kind of like the way he plays. And I know they've got a fucking sick running back, freshman running back, who's like the real deal. So
Nick Singleton, he's pretty good.
Yeah, and a fucking freshman, like it's insane. Yeah, he just comes in like fucking Derrick Henry Jr. That makes me nervous.
There was one Penn State reporter. I mean, it might have been a show like this. I have no idea what it was. But the guy was saying that Singleton is already more talented and bigger than Corum and better. And I was like, I don't he's good. I think he will be very good, but I'm not ready to tell 6 games into his career that he's better than Blake Corum.
Yeah, he's 6 foot, I think 210. He's a pretty big kid playing running back, but he's different than Blake Corum in the sense that Blake Corum's lateral movement is,
fucking
generational
insane.
Talent. So I don't think you can necessarily talk about him like that, but it'll be interesting to see how he does in an environment like this against a defense that's trying to get the ball out. So I'm interested to see how he plays because we know Sean Clifford can run, and that's been really a dagger in Michigan's back for years now as the running quarterback. So Talia showed it. Bazelak couldn't run last week because he was suffocated. But other than that, we really haven't seen a quarterback that can run. Petrus has cement for feet.
Jesus Christ.
Really. But Sean Clifford is the best quarterback that will play so far. I think he's got the edge slightly on Talia. Slightly, just because of the experience. I think Talia is a really good quarterback, but without injury, I think Sean Clifford is a top 4 or 5 quarterback in the Big Ten.
I think it's fair.
For sure. He's been there forever too. He's got a lot of games under his belt. And I'm sure that they want to beat Michigan after. Penn State has this weird thing about Michigan too. They want to be our rivals so badly.
Dude, they want to be our rivals so bad.
The whole there's people that go to India and they're Penn State fans and they're like, I'm all the way in India and Michigan still sucks. I'm like,
I don't get it.
Why are you thinking about Michigan right now? You're our 4th rival or something. What's going on here? I
love it. I respect it, man. I love it. I'd be like us going to Traverse City and being like, I'm on a boat and Bama still sucks. It makes no fucking sense.
I don't get it.
I don't know.
Now, all right. So the game that they had against Northwestern was a rain game, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is why that was so low scoring.
And they turned the ball over 5 times, but Northwestern couldn't capitalize.
Northwestern
sounds about right.
They're so bad.
Yeah.
So I'm like throwing that game out, to be honest, just because to be able to win by 10 points when you turn the ball over 4 times is like unreal, to be honest.
And to be honest, they didn't look great against Central Michigan.
They were
played
tied at half or
pretty
something,
good.
right?
Yeah, they were tied at halftime, and they played well. It was kind of like an Indiana situation for them where they just kind of dudded out in the first half. And then second half, they turned it on. They made the adjustments they had to beat a clearly inferior Central Michigan team. And that's not a knock on the Chippewas. My sister goes there. So
Fire up, baby.
But yeah, fire up. But yeah, this is the biggest test by far until Ohio State. And I don't want to discount newly ranked Illinois. Never want to discount Michigan State and the other couple opponents we still have.
Wait, newly ranked Illinois.
Illinois is actually legit, dude.
Are they?
Running back's good. And DeVito's
Is
not
Brandon Peters still there?
Nope. Tommy DeVito's their quarterback, but he got hurt last weekend. So
DeVito. Danny's?
Tommy DeVito.
Is he related to Danny?
Yeah, it's Danny's son. They're the same size.
Shut up. Is it actually Danny's son?
No.
Damn. I was going to say, I might actually root for Illinois in that game. Love Danny DeVito.
Oh, no. Illinois, that Illinois-Maryland game was actually those are two not top Big Ten teams, but top of the second tier, I'd say.
Surprise teams, yeah.
Respectable Big Ten teams.
That was a fun one. The Auburn game for Penn State is what's kind of throwing me off, that I don't know what this team is like, because you take out that Auburn game for Penn State, and I'm looking at this team as I don't know, kind of average probably, right? Above average, but nothing special. But that Auburn game where they just kicked the shit out of Auburn down in Alabama,
that's what's wild.
You just don't see that for the SEC. And Auburn, they got beat by LSU, who's really bad actually. But got their shit kicked by Georgia. So would the Lions at this point, I think. So I just don't know what to think about this Penn State team. I think I wouldn't be shocked if they come out and play really well on Saturday, but I also wouldn't be shocked if we won by 2 scores.
Yeah, I think something with Penn State too, that you guys can disagree with me if you want, but they lack the superstar this year. In years past, they've had that one guy. You look back, Jahan Dotson was a guy for him, and he was banged up a little bit last year, but you look before that, Hamler, Trace McSorley, obviously Saquon Barkley. Allen Robinson, that was
Miles Sanders,
even in high school. Right. They don't have that superstar power this year. They still have a couple of good receivers, like Parker Washington is probably their best outside guy. As you mentioned, Singleton's a good running back. But, I kind of, whenever I look at an opponent and I start to scout him for the week, I kind of base it on the scale of how the old NCAA games used to be. When you would play Road to Glory and you can make them really good, moderate, not great, and bad. Mm-hmm. I would put this team one level below very good because they lack the star power. And I think that's the very good is something Michigan hasn't seen this year. We've seen a lot of moderate. Maybe Maryland would be in that good category, but there's just no star power on Penn State. And that's not a diss to any of their players because they have some really good athletes like Johnny Dixon, the cornerback. That's a good cover guy. But I think the star power is something that they lack this year as a difference maker in what they've done so far this year. Now, the Auburn game, as you mentioned, Justin, is odd. And it sort of reminds me a little bit of Michigan and Wisconsin last year, where it was kind of close for the half with Michigan, Wisconsin. It was close in the first quarter with Penn State and Auburn, and then Penn State forced a couple of turnovers. Auburn looked atrocious on offense, and then the game kind of got out of hand and went in Penn State's favor. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at with this Penn State team. But one thing's always true about them, and it's that besides the 2020 COVID year, just like Michigan, Penn State's always consistent and they're well coached. They don't make too many disciplinary mistakes like penalties. They don't turn the ball over a ton typically. And like you said, kind of wrinkle it up and throw out the game last weekend. They obviously had the bye, but the weekend before that with Northwestern. But I think that's what we're kind of looking at when it comes to Penn State.
You can expect though that James Franklin is going to make some dumbass clock move or something at some point in this game.
The fake punts last year against us.
Yes.
2 in a row. 2.
Fake field goal like on the 6-yard line or something like that. Like, bro, what are we doing here? So we can count on that for sure, which is nice to always have in our back pocket. But yeah, I mean, I think looking at their defense too, I think their front 7 is really, really good. I think their secondary is a little sus. So I would be, that's where I want to talk a little bit about what happened against Indiana. It felt like it was all right, the run's not working. Can we just fucking keep throwing the ball? Because we're really good at that. So that's where I could see that happening again, especially in the first half, where it's hey, they're selling out on the run because everybody thinks if you stop Blake Corum, you stop this team, which is true to an extent, right? Obviously, we are still a run the damn ball football team, but I really want to see us, throw it deep and air it out in this game. And I feel to me on a suspect secondary, we have so many wide receivers. I would just go tempo and just do a new set of 3 wide receivers and just keep going, all the way down the field until you feel like you're there. And I don't know, I make it sound way easier than it actually is, but it just, it feels like that could be a way that we really exploit teams.
Well, that's something I was thinking about earlier too. I think Zach, you mentioned with, or maybe it was you, Justin, with Roman out. I mean, we have so many. We've talked about this a million times on the podcast. There's an endless list of amazing receivers on Michigan's roster right now.
Yeah,
you could totally do that. You got in 3 guys, and then have them just run fucking 4 verts the entire way, and then you sub in the next fucking 4 guys or whoever it is, right? And even you can get Mikey back in there on offense, right? He can catch passes. It's I mean, Michigan's the amount of talent they have in those playmaker positions is pretty insane right now. And
I mean, that's what I would do if I was if I was this high school coach. If I was a high school coach and had this kind of team, I would just run 4 verts every time. Nope, I'd be the no punt guy. I'd be
I'd play it like NCAA 14. I literally have I do 4 verts. I have 3 guys go downfield and 1 guy run a curl.
Yeah.
And it's just fucking, got my check down.
I mean, it's unstoppable.
It's unstoppable. Am I the best OC of all time?
Maybe.
I've never been out coached. Just like
also,
Usain Bolt has never beat me a race. I've never been out coached.
We've been just speaking facts all day today.
God damn. We're more talented than we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
What was the question again?
I don't know.
I
don't think I asked a question. I think I was just talking for 10 minutes.
I think we just spew fucking information.
Yeah. And none of it's actual factual.
No, false information.
But I think I guess talking about the offensive game plan, what would you like to see, Zach?
Well, what actually kind of irked me was, I'll get to that question in a minute too. Do you guys see that interview that the Penn State podcast that they had?
Idiots.
Today. You saw that, Jack, about the guy that was talking about JJ throwing it like a baseball?
Yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about? Have you never seen JJ throw a ball in your life?
Yeah, Justin, you're going to love seeing this.
You didn't see that?
No.
You became too professional, dude. You don't even look at stuff anymore.
I literally half my day is scrolling Twitter. I do have.
I'll shoot it to you immediately after this. But essentially, he said JJ's form isn't great, especially under pressure, because he throws the football too much like a baseball.
Yeah,
and that he kicks his left because he's right. He kicks his left leg out.
That's what blew my fucking mind. What
are you talking about?
He was like, he kicks his leg out. He's throwing a first base. I'm like, what is this guy saying?
2-year varsity pitcher in high school, and I also played quarterback. And I was like, you kick your leg out either way because you're trying to have your plant foot in the ground. But I mean, okay.
This is coming from a guy who's watched Sean Clifford throw for fucking 5 years. What are we doing?
Right.
What are we talking about here?
But
Also, like,
you know what it gave me flashbacks to is when we had fucking Matty Burns
yeah.
on the pod and we're talking about Michigan State. How we're gonna beat them by 90. We fucking lost.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that.
That's what it gave me flashbacks to.
Yeah.
Because I remember we went viral just like they did for that. I think somebody told me we were on Bleacher Report for being fucking idiots, and I made my day.
Okay, but seriously, like, here's the thing. I mean, when push comes to shove here, whatever his form is, he's got a fucking missile for a right
He's the
arm.
most accurate quarterback in college football.
And is throwing for 80% completion percentage. So you tell me, like, you're gonna like that is, if there was one thing to critique for this team, like, that's not one I would go for.
Now here, you're gonna love the second part. Then, what he said in the second part was that by watching Michigan, I think Jack, you might know where I'm gonna go here. He said, outside of Ronnie Bell, Michigan has no vertical threat.
Oh yeah.
I don't think this dude has watched a minute of Michigan football this year. Now, all due respect to him, maybe he's a smart guy, but he hasn't watched Michigan football if that's the case.
No.
The biggest deep threat on the team is he wears 14, and he caught you for 2 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
So watch Michigan football. That was what actually got me pretty upset. So
also, I said this, I think, on our last pod too. I was like, I'm pretty sure we could line up like 4 or 5 guys on the outside and run go routes, and they'd be like a top 5-ish wide receiver in the Big Ten, like outside wide receiver.
Oh yeah.
So that is an absurd statement. Absolutely absurd statement. I love it. That's like, I'm surprised we don't go viral for shit like that more, to be honest.
Because I think we accept the fact that we're fucking idiots, and like
True,
people know that's our thing. Like we're not like, I mean, we're not like, oh, this is facts, you know, other than the fact that Usain Bolt has never beat me a race, you know.
That's facts though.
You know, it's facts. Like when it's facts, it's facts. But
Right.
you know, I don't know.
I'm glad we aren't beating that horse too much. I'm glad that we haven't said that too much today.
Yeah. Oh no.
What are we talking about?
I don't know.
The game plan.
All right, game plan. All right, that is yes. Please send that to me because that is I will clown the shit out of him from my 90 account.
I feel like everybody was talking about that today.
I'm sure he's already been clowned to you know.
Oh, terribly. I think when I looked at the engagement, it was like 38 quote retweets, and it was just all Michigan
just ratio to shit. Love it.
Oh yeah,
love it.
One thing I do want to say too, when we were talking about JJ, he has to be the most slept on guy, shockingly quarterback in the country right now. Leads in completion percentage, plays for Michigan, who's always overhyped, right? But you don't hear a lot of people talking about him outside of Michigan. Am I just completely wrong there or what?
I think that maybe the moderate play style of Cade last year kind of simmered that down a little bit because we had Shea, we obviously had Corum before him, and then Joe Milton for a year. And all the talk was Cam Newton is Joe Milton, and Joe Milton is Cam Newton. And then Cade came in, apparently. But then Cade came in, and the whole tempo changed, obviously. The team went from 2-4 to a college football playoff run last year behind a really moderate style of play, very conservative. Not all that many downfield shots, but the play action was there. And it's kind of the same thing right now that JJ's doing in place of Cade. He doesn't have to do all that special stuff that maybe quarterbacks down the line will have to do for Michigan, but they're still playing the conservative play style that, I mean, I really enjoy watching. I mean, every team's kind of converting to the spread, going empty, running trips, and Michigan will do that kind of stuff. But I still like this kind of football because many defenses nowadays are getting ready to defend that spread style offense. But Michigan still plays that punch you in the mouth offense once in a while. And Indiana adapted to that pretty well.
Yeah.
But then Michigan was like, you know what, let's go modern and let's beat them at their own game. And I think Michigan ended up beating IU with their own medicine last week. And I think that's something they could do this week.
I'll tell you what, I'm pretty excited for Michigan to play Penn State. And like you said, JJ, like, they're playing pretty conservative, whatever, right? Like, they don't really need to do a whole lot. Like, doesn't really, I mean, again, I love JJ. I'm glad he's quarterback, but you could put me a fucking quarterback from Michigan right now, and they're still going to be undefeated, right? Like, I think No, I think so. I mean, I think I could hand the ball off and fucking, like they'd be fine. But I think with Penn State, you get a top 10 matchup at home and they're undefeated. Like, I hope we have a close game and JJ has to make these tough decisions. I'd love to see him kind of have to grind out a game, show that he can make plays in crunch time and win big games when you need them. Because that's what everybody wants to see against Ohio State and like all this stuff, right? Like, Big Ten championship games against Georgia in the college football playoff. Like, that's what people want to see. And when you see that, that's when the hype really fucking grows, right? Like that. I mean, if there's a close game with Penn State and JJ like leads a game-winning drive, like he shoots up in the Heisman rankings, right? Like the JJ hype is there and it's loud. But I'd love to see that out of JJ. Like really, like kind of push him, like get him into an uncomfortable position and see what he can do.
I think too, going Zach, to your talk about like the play style of Michigan, like it didn't work, but Michigan went into like a total NFL stretch run on Saturday against Indiana as well. Where you see every quarterback in the NFL do that, where it's like they stretch the line all the way out. It's go hand the ball off way down the line. I was shocked at that, and I think what I think is going to happen is a lot of that is set up for bootlegs later on down the line here, and this week is probably one of those because the one thing, like, I think JJ might be more accurate on the run to his right than he is just standing in the pocket. I've never seen a quarterback be so accurate on the run to his right, and so
never seen me in flag football.
Well, other than you. But
thank you.
But yeah, I think that they're gonna like set some things up here for Penn State and Michigan State here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, even if I wanted to spoil the game script for you guys, I couldn't because I don't know what it is yet. But I think it's true because last weekend Michigan did kind of do the same thing as you just mentioned, Justin, and that was run. The play action's there. And they converted a couple times late in the first quarter on the play action, but then the run game got stopped and we couldn't set up the play action anymore because then they figured, oh, here comes play action. And we did a couple times, a couple of dump offs to Schoonmaker. I mean, that's where he got the majority of his yards was on those arrows. The touchdown he scored was on an arrow pattern where he just kind of dips out into the flat and it's there. Plenty of tight ends do it. And Brock Bowers, the tight end at Georgia, is a master at doing that right now. But that's just Jim Harbaugh's style of play is trying to keep everything tight. And then he just moves one player, kind of scapegoat. That's the dude. And then that guy comes open and it works. I mean, you don't fool with it if it's not broken, right? And Michigan hasn't had it break since early last year. So I would consider Michigan to do the same thing this week that they've been doing. And that's pound it, see if something comes open. And then if it doesn't work, like it didn't work last week in the second quarter, change it up, find those windows, take the shot. And I think that's something that we'll see probably early this week. So I would expect Michigan fans to see something different in the first half. And as I said, I have no clue what the script is like right now. So I wish I could tell you, but I'm not trying to get fired. So
that's probably for the
call. Zach, I do have to ask you a question. So I know when we're, Justin and I are watching the games, typically it's after a tailgate or whatever, and we're, not as clear-minded as you are when you're up in the box. But does Michigan run a lot like under center with McCarthy, or is he mostly in the shotgun? I feel like I don't see McCarthy under center very much.
No, but he's comfortable under center though, and I think a lot of that has to do with how good Olu is and how experienced in the veteranship, I suppose, of Oluwatimi at the center position, because JJ gets to learn from him, and last year he got to learn from Vistardis, who was another veteran.
Right.
But they do go under center quite a bit, and the number one under center play.
I've been surprised throughout the beginning of this year how much we go under center, because I felt like Cade even didn't really go under center much last year. Obviously, it's a different offensive coordinator, so that is probably a big reason for that. But and I like it simply because of the fact that it's one more thing that the defense has to prep for. And, I think what a good offensive coordinator does is you're able to run the same play out of like 15 different formations, right?
Right.
And so I think that's what Sharon Moore and Matt Weiss do really well with is we can go pistol, we can go shotgun, empty, under center, and still run probably a crossing route or a bootleg or whatever it is. And it's just a different version of it. So that's a really good way to disguise what your offense is going to be. And I
think
love
for anybody
that.
listening, you meant 15 different plays out of the same formation, right?
What did I say?
15 different formations out of the same play.
Yeah, I mean what you said. Yeah.
Deal.
Well, I think that's too what Michigan's so good at is you can spread it out and do as many different formations as you want and still essentially run the same play. And I think that's something that we do. I think we do that really well. I think we look back to the Iowa game when I think it was Seth Benson was the linebacker. He's going to play on Sundays. And Blake made a miss and he scored that last touchdown. That was exactly the play that Justin was talking about. And that's literally a play in Madden. It's running back stretch.
Yeah.
And stretched up the line. JJ turned, took a couple of really big steps, handed it off to Blake, and now it's my guy and your guy. Who's better? And
you just
usually,
never
usually
see
trust
that.
Number two.
You never see that in college anymore, ever.
No.
Yeah, I've been intrigued by the offensive play calling. I think it's really hard to prep for Michigan right now, and I think what Jim Harbaugh has always done, which is like annoying to the fan because you want to see it all, but it works out. Hopefully by the end of the year, is he doesn't open up the playbook until it needs to be opened up.
Right.
So I'm excited to see. I think this is like probably when you're looking at the schedule, this is the coming out party, right? This is it. You're at home. It's a maze out. I agree with you, Zach. I think some deep shots early or something funky to get the crowd going, I think would be pretty sweet. And I wouldn't be shocked to see that. So I'm excited, man. Dude, maze outs are just different. I'm wishing that it was obviously at night rather than a nooner. But I'm ready. Here's what I thought too. After the first 4 weeks, I was like, oh, thank God we got an away game. I need a little breather. We've been tailgating a little too hard. The first 4 in a row is tough. But then immediately I was like, I'm so ready to be back in the big house.
Yeah, I think the 21 days went by really fast too. For some, it probably went by pretty slow to get back, but maybe just for someone working inside Shem, the 21 days went really freaking fast. So I'm excited to be back. But I'll tell you what, for fans that have tickets that are listening, get there early because it really does have an impact on the guys. I swear to you, last year when the crowd was there early for Washington, and of course it was at night, so you had a little bit longer to tailgate. But those guys feel that. And when they're getting cheered onto the field, when every single position group takes the field, that's number one. It's special for them, and it's a memory that'll last forever. But number two, it provides that much more excitement for them when they come onto the field to get ready for what is the biggest home game of the year. So you also got to think about it in terms of if Michigan loses this game, not only does it linger all the way until that Halloween weekend matchup with Michigan State, but Michigan's in a pretty difficult position in the rankings when it comes to trying to get back up into the top 4 before the CFP rankings start coming out. So, and a 12th man is really important this weekend. So I hope people they'll show up. I just hope they're there on time.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, if I'm willing to leave the tailgate early, then I think anybody should be able to leave the tailgate early because I live for tailgating.
Uh-huh.
So that's our plan. And I think everybody should do it as well. But hey, Zach, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll have you back on, regularly here. I'm excited to hear you again up in the booth on Saturday.
Yeah, and hopefully I get my voice back. The broken nose is clearing up my sinuses, so let's hope that the voice comes back before Saturday.
You're a warrior. I tell you what, you're the biggest warrior since Tate Forcier back in the day playing.
Oh God. I was hoping you'd say like Jordan Poole or something to make it fun, but
Yeah, you and Poole are in a similar situation right now.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think we both got a black eye.
Yeah. Hey, Poole performed right after it too. He dropped
He
what
did.
25 in like
Yeah.
10 minutes.
He was
or something.
hooping.
Incredible.
All right, thanks, guys.
Of course. And tell the people where they can follow you too.
Yeah, at my name, Zach Linfield. Follow WCBN Sports on YouTube. We'll have the game broadcast set up on Friday night. I have the second half this week, so if anything important goes on in the second half, you can listen to the play-by-play there. I guess if I had to compare myself to anybody, I studied Dan Miller pretty religiously. So shout out to my guy Dan Miller, the voice of the Detroit Lions, and then I have the whole game for Michigan State. So
Beautiful.
hopefully people will be able to tune in. That's also on the FM airways at 88.3. So hopefully you guys can tune in.
I hope there's some innuendos on that one. There's a lot of
Yeah, we'll see.
There's
Got to
a lot
get in that
of
RG3 tier.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just make sure there's a delay on the broadcast. That way Mel can't pick up anything.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. For us, you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Blue by 90 podcast on YouTube and blueby90.com. We appreciate you. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Blue.